This is actually interesting. Come on.
So a lot of people that don't have knowledge in a given topic will try to find an answer. That's just human nature. Part of human nature is understanding our reality so that we can anticipate it and protect ourselves or try to do something with it, try to build on it. So our brains are always trying to solve the puzzles around us. Now, there's obviously people that don't do that. And man, I almost envy those people. But ultimately, if you think you understand something, the challenge of understanding that thing usually will lead to conflict, even if they could be wrong, because their sense of safety is based on their belief in the thing. So if we go back to the COVID vaccine we were just talking about, there was a person that was talking about how it sterilized them. And I was like, wait, what? How did it do that? He goes, well, I just got the shot. And I was like, so you've got other kids and now you can't get kids. Well, no. So did you have kids before? No. Well, how do you know it did it? It just did. I was like, where? I've never heard this at all.
Do you think some of that's a result of the propaganda that was getting pumped out by the White House?
I had made a comment to you on another podcast. I'm going to reiterate here. Ignorance is easily filled with conspiracy. And I don't mean that to be demeaning. It falls into the exact same thing I was talking about with
same thing when people say, it's God, it must be God.
Similar. It's in my mind, it's a very similar principle. And I'm not trying to say God doesn't represent.
No, I do it all the time. Like, God does a lot of things for me, for real.
But why and how? And like,
nope.
Anyway.
I ain't got nothing for you.
One day we should have the omnipotence, benevolence, and omniscient argument. That one's fun.
Okay, but anyway, let's do it now. I'll argue with you.
No, we're focusing on this.
I'll fight with you. No, we're not. This isn't podcasting. We're having a conversation, Jonathan. We're not podcasting right now. Quit acting like we're podcasting and talk to me.
So anything that challenges your sense of safety will be met with venom or fight or more conviction. And a lot of times, for some reason in psychology, the more I challenge a thing, the more you'll believe it, because the more invested you are in protecting it makes it more real to you. So there's a lot of like dark psychology around. If I can, remember that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and they go into dreams, Inception?
Yes.
Similar principle. If I can get you to think of something and then I challenge you on it, if I challenge you enough on it, the more you'll believe it, because the more you defend it. And it comes from
I bet you can't do a pull-up. You can't do a pull-up. And you say something bad about them to motivate them to do something, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's like one way to do it. Another would be like they make a bad meal and you're like, oh my God, can you not make a good one? They're like, this is fine. I can eat this. And then like, oh, I'll give you a great example. Somebody I know, I'm not going to say who, bought food. I'm not going to say what it was.
What?
And it had gone bad, right? There was obvious mold on the product. And I said, hey, this is moldy. It needs to go away. I don't know why you didn't throw it away. Me saying, I don't know why you didn't throw it away, put them into defensive mode.
Absolutely. You called them out.
And they started arguing with me. It's like, well, that's not really mold. It's like, I mean, it's fuzzy. Like, I'm not, like, why would you eat that? He goes, it's fine. And they literally took a handful and put it in their mouth just to prove me wrong. So by challenging their belief that it was okay, which it was at one point, and it just stuck because they had an answer and they didn't calculate the change. They were invested in the buying of it and the holding of it, and they thought it was a resource, blah, blah, blah. They were willing to defend to the point that they ate moldy food to prove that they were wrong, or to prove that they were right and that I was wrong.
Yep.
So eating moldy food to prove that they were right and I was wrong doesn't hurt me. I don't feel stupid because you ate moldy food.
That describes MAGA. That is a good...
And that analogy of defending your belief in the presence of actual facts, knowledge, or somebody willing to even help you understand it has become such a core to our society. So there's also this effect, and I forget what it is, the name of it.
A butterfly effect.
You think you're smarter than you are, basically. So you and I could probably find a topic that you believe that you know enough about to where you're willing to argue with me.
Music.
Even if I have a background in it or knowledge in it or have studied it or something. Like, I don't even know.
Like you're
Probably.
Beethoven, I'm Slash, and I'm about to have an argument with you on music.
Yeah, that's like saying, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of arguments along those lines. I was talking to somebody very recently about something sciencey, and I forget what it was.
Bill Nye
And
the
the
Science
person
Guy.
said, I read it in an article, it's true. And I was like, well, I also read another article that said it's not true. And they're like, well, no, I don't. I read the article. It's this way. I was like, well, explain it to me. I can't. Well, no, I mean, like, I'm willing to hear you out. Nope, I can't do it. So then why are you willing to capitulate that me actually knowing more about the actual topic allows you to discuss it? Nope, I'm done. And it's like, you can't discuss it, even on something as simple as like a scientific breakthrough or whatever. And that's where you get into these
It's
arguments.
a fascinating phenomenon.
So there was an argument I got into with somebody about Beyond Meat. And
Who?
Beyond Meat is a Beyond Meat, lab grown meats. So in theory, there's two basic principles. One is nothing will beat animal grown meat, right? It's just it can't be reproduced. But when you think about anything that exists with enough time, resources, and patience and understanding, that's just fundamentally not true. If you have the right,
You think we can
stuff,
recreate it exactly?
can you recreate the exact paint strokes of the Mona Lisa? Well, technically, yes. You could program an AI to calculate what the brushstrokes are. You can do scans to figure out what they were even under the top layer. It can
Someone
do
should
color
do that.
analysis.
Have your AI 3D printer paint a Mona Lisa or something extravagant like that.
I mean, it's getting, well, I mean, they can do all sorts of stuff
Hit
now.
subscribe too.
But the point is, like, you could, in theory, build a robot and to create the paint to match up nearly identically, to create the brush strokes with the right types of brushes, and have it analyze the brushes and the brush strokes and the dry rate and
Diameter of the
pressures.
hairs, the amount, the
Well,
quantity. Yeah, whatever. You could do it all.
those are not as complicated. If I remember correctly, brushes from that period uses horsehair, so it's a pretty fixed thickness. But even with that, like, okay, fine, we'll just go buy the exact same paintbrushes from the same place
Lowe's.
and wherever it was he did this stuff, right? And then if the robot can calculate angle to disbursement to saturation of paint on the brush and pressure and go over the paintbrush strokes based on its x-ray analysis of the paint at a different level, like, technically you could recreate the Mona Lisa down to a chemical level, down to a nanometers precision. In theory, it is possible. Now, is it a crap ton of work? Yes. Is it possible?
Is it
Yes.
though? Is it? AI does a crap ton of work.
No, if you think about how, like, all the experimentation to figure out how to, like, end a paint swipe with the right amount of paint on it to have the right buckle where the paint folds over and then folds in on itself, like, it would have to experiment. It'd have to practice. There'd be some learning to do.
Iterations, but it would be quick, exponential, and
no, because the physical act of doing it with
right,
the medium
that's a set time.
Down.
That is a set amount of time.
There's a fixed duration of time it will take for each brushstroke to do, regardless of human versus robot.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
It's going to have to mimic the speed, the pressure, the temperature, the amount of paint on the brush, and all. Like, there's all these things you have to calculate into.
How long do you think it took Michelangelo or whoever painted the Mona Lisa to paint the Mona Lisa? How many?
Long time.
You think like years?
I was under the impression it was months. I could be wrong.
Leonardo da Vinci,
time to paint Mona Lisa. And most people don't know there's like multiple Mona Lisas. But anyway, so back to the Beyond Meat. Is it possible to grow meat in a way that mimics meat as it is now? You're talking about cellular structure.
16.
Yikes. So, gosh, she would have been an old shit by then.
14 to 16 years. That's pretty cool. Leonardo da Vinci began painting the Mona Lisa in 1503 and worked on it intermittently for about 14 to 16 years, adding layers around 1517, shortly before his death. That is genius. That's cool. That makes me actually respect the Mona Lisa a lot more. I never really had a frame of reference for how long a painting takes.
And it's so small in person. Most people don't realize the size of it.
How big is it?
It's only like that big or something.
No fucking way.
Yeah. And one of his other pictures that he did around the same time, if I remember correctly, it was only like this big. But seeing it up close, I got to be within this close to the actual picture.
Really?
And look at the brushstrokes on it. It was amazing.
It's not a picture. That is the Mona Lisa.
Well, no,
sir.
Like another picture.
Put a little respect on it.
By Da Vinci was on display the last time I was at the National Art Gallery. And it was incredible.
30 inches by 21 inches.
Yeah, it's not huge.
That is tiny. I thought it was a big thing.
No.
Hey, breaking news, guys. The Mona Lisa is small. Hit subscribe.
But back to the meat thing. Meat is just protein structures and different chemicals and different solutions, basically. And because of the randomness of the architecture of meat within some variants, there's no reason we can't reproduce it with the right chemical compositions and the right distributions. So the argument isn't, are they ever going to be the same? The argument is that they're just not the same now. And if we could make it lab grown and on a compositional structure, it tastes like it cooks like it chews like it, and our body absorbs it the same way, like, what is the freaking problem?
Who has a problem with it?
Oh, there's a whole ton of people that think that this is ungodly, it's unnatural, it's toxic.
I'm okay with that.
And I'm like, no. And now let's take this one more argument forward, right? Organs, human organs. There's plenty of people out there that would make the same kind of arguments about it being unnatural.
Until it's saving your aunt or your mother.
Or your kid.
Or your child.
Yeah, like if it can save a loved one.
Yeah, all of a sudden, that argument goes away real quick.
Well, and there's another thing about lab-grown organs that plays into this that we don't take into account. Anti-rejection is no longer an issue. So if right now, if you get kidney or part of a liver or lungs or whatever, heart, because the DNA of those pieces don't match yours, your body's immune system will figure out that DNA doesn't match. It'll see it as a foreign particulate, like an infection or a wound.
Foreign entity, please evacuate.
And it's going to try to destroy it. So everybody who gets an implant like that is on anti-rejection drugs for the rest of their life. What is anti-rejection drugs? They're immune-suppressing drugs.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Everybody that gets a organ transplant is going to have a significantly weakened immune system going forward for the rest of their lives.
For a period of time, because that's just a problem to figure out for the medical community.
It's a problem until it's figured out, yes. But taking material from your body now, converting it to stem cells that are yours with your DNA, and then influencing it with the right chemicals and hormones to trigger genetic creation of the organ tissue needed, and then putting it on some kind of substrate or framework or whatever to grow. I don't know, pick a liver. The liver's the easiest one.
Yeah, pancreas.
No, a liver is interesting. So a liver is just kind of gelatinous, right? It's not like there's different structures for getting stuff in and out of it and getting blood in and out of it and all that kind of stuff. But it regrows itself. It's not overly complicated. In theory, they could really go after growing that, but that's not what people are suffering from. Usually, if you have enough of your liver left, they can get rid of the other stuff, the bad, and let it regrow healthy, right? But it's the heart, it's the kidneys, it's the lungs, it's the very complicated multicellular type.
What about
organs
bone?
That are hard, huh?
What about bone?
Bone, there's a couple of different options. Bone does regrow, depending on how much of it is. So have you heard about the leg lengthening stuff they got going on in Silicon Valley?
No.
So people are paying thousands of dollars.
To be taller?
$10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to be taller. Yeah. And what they do is, and I actually watched a video of it, they take your femur and they cut it in 2 or 3 spots. I forget what it is. And then they separate it out and they put a pole in, and then they put these pieces in to suspend it in your leg and to hold everything together. And then you basically just lay in a bed and the bone knits itself back together. And then when they want you taller, they do it again and move it out. And they'll do that for like a year or something. And you can be a couple inches taller on the other side of it for hundreds.
That just seems very invasive. I don't know if I would want to go through that.
But think about it this way: if you work from home and you're young and you're going to heal fast and you can still move around and do everything,
and you're 4'2" and you're like, I just want to be over 5 foot,
or if you want to be 6 foot or something, like if the money and the pain and the demand of the job is not a problem, and you want to be 4 or 5 inches taller, why not?
Yeah, I get it.
Now, they're going to have long femurs, but, hey, that's the way things go, right?
Hey, look at that girl with the long femurs. That girl got some long femurs.
Well, let's be honest. Some women are all legs anyway. But my point really comes back to what we started with, was just the argument. So the argument goes back to the meat's not real. The meat's never going to be good. It's always bad, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, no. From a scientific perspective, it is completely and entirely, and honestly, probably not that far away, to create meat so realistic you couldn't lab test it and tell a difference.
Well, you know what happens when that becomes all we have to eat? The government will be like, don't tell them it's meat, or don't tell them it's fake then. Just lie.
Well, we already have some of that going on. So there's already meat being grown in labs and being sold on the market that is so comparable, a lot of people can't tell the difference. We already have that.
Are they marketing as meat?
No, they're marketing it as like near meat or almost meat, that kind of stuff.
I wonder what the cost difference is for real beef to that.
My understanding is negligible. And with the cost of beef continuing to go up in the United States because of all the shenanigans it's just like solar and wind. If you go back 20 years and you said, oh, solar is the best thing to have, people would look at you like you were smoking crack, because nuclear and coal and
gas
were king, because the cost per watt was so much better on those three than solar or wind that you had to be crazy. But what happened? It was refined over decades, and now the cost per watt of renewable energy is nothing compared to the cost of renewable energy for building a new nuclear power plant or coal. Like, coal is way more expensive than solar or wind is right now.
There's really there's incentives in California too for people to put solar on their home. Like, they actively encourage it, and I think it's
required in certain areas. Like, to build in certain areas, it's required. And in fairness, with the density of homes and the inability to build nuclear reactors or the water. So think about it this way: how hard is it right now to build a nuclear reactor in California, in Southern California?
I haven't tried yet.
All right, so first you have to have a place to put it, which, let's be honest,
there's plenty of room in California.
Not near people.
Yeah, well, you don't want it to be near people.
Okay, so if you're not near people, why are people not near where you're trying to build?
A nuclear plant? Go to Death Valley. We don't want people there.
What's not in Death Valley that nuclear plants need to work?
Water?
Exactly. What's the other thing that's in Death Valley that people don't like, that nuclear reactors don't like either?
Put it next to Area 51.
What is in Death Valley that both nuclear reactors and people hate? Extreme heat. So a nuclear reactor works by the explosion of the atoms through the nuclear stuff. I won't get into the science on that. That releases heat from the explosion of the atoms. That heat turns into steam. That steam is routed through turbines, steam turbines. Those turbines produce electricity. Steam makes its way out and it condenses somewhere else in the planet. But ultimately, water to steam to power. And that's how a nuclear reactor works, right? And if it's too hot for the water, you're going to burn through whatever water you got too quickly. You're not going to be able to cool the reactor down the same way, because the reactor is suspended in water. It's a big old well that the fusion rods are down into, and the injector rods and the igniter. So those are suspended in water. You don't want that hot. And you can't run the air conditioners. Like, that's crazy. So where you build nuclear reactors is where you have abundant water, enough to be able to have steam pouring out of your stacks all day, every day, at a temperature that makes it conducive for a steam engine and our steam generators and the cooling in a nuclear reactor. So Death Valley doesn't work. A lot of places in California don't work. And then when you add in the fact that water isn't just readily available,
Right on the border of Tijuana and San
or
Diego.
so valuable, well, now you're starting to talk about the infrastructure.
And we share with
grid.
Tijuana, and we finally actually become real allies, and then we join forces and take over the world.
So Tijuana has a lot of same issues with water and heat, but the importing and exporting of electricity, go ask Canada about that shit. So there was a whole thing recently about us importing electricity from Canada. Trump put a tariff on it, and whole areas got shut off, or their power bills went up 100%.
Yeah.
So importing. Now, the other part of it too is there's not a significant enough infrastructure for power lines and cables to handle sending multiple megawatts of power from Death Valley to San Diego, for example. And the infrastructure is just not available for it. The reality is, if you have an abundant, reliable source of energy, a la the sun and wind, then why wouldn't you keep the distance between where you generate the power and where you need the power to its least, which is on top of the fucking roof? But, whatever. The windmills, destroy the environment.
Yeah, and all the birds, they bring down the property value.
So I heard a rumor about that, and basically the reason he got started on windmills is he was at a golf course that he owned, and he was at a golf course. I don't know if he owned it, and he looked out the window, and there were windmills in the horizon, and he thought they were ugly. And from that point on, he was Don Quixote, and there was always going to be a problem.
I'm sure that's exactly how he is. Like, he picks a thing, he makes a nickname for you, and you are that forever.
So, so Beyond Meat's not realist. I mean, Beyond Meat is the course. Like, it will happen eventually. The ability to reduce the cost and increase the quality, just like we did with solar, is realistic. It's highly likely, and it's just going to take refinement of the technology to get us there. But once they get it there, there's another thing that's going to be really cool too. Do you know Do you know why McDonald's and Burger King were so successful for a long time before they raised their prices too much?
Killer business model.
The one big thing that they were known for?
Big Macs and Whoppers?
Consistency. You could go to every
success
McDonald's in the country and order the same meal, and it will pretty much taste exactly the same.
Not in Sri Lanka, and I have firsthand experience.
I'm talking about
and Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut in Sri Lanka, not the same, guys. Chicken wings in Sri Lanka, bit different.
In America, the land of the not free anymore, McDonald's and Burger King were consistent with their food across the country. And you knew that if you went to any city in the United States and there was a McDonald's, you knew what to expect. You could start to get excited about it, and you would reward it for your excitement by it tasting like you thought it would. So when lab-grown meat gets better to where it is comparable and hard to distinguish between regular animal-grown meat, then that consistency value comes in. Then the meat is consistent. It's easy to prepare. You can automate all that stuff out too.
No, then you get different grades. Like, you get different flavors. Like, I like my prime rib with a lot of fat in it. She likes her prime rib with a
you'll have your 60, your 70, your 80, and your 90.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, there'll probably be no disbursement of no variation in anything else. The fat percentages will probably be the only significant variation across the distribution.
No.
And that changes everything, because animal meat has all sorts of issues and variants. Like, you can have diseased meat, you could have poorly grown meat, you could have fast grown meat, you could have poorly structured meat, you could have
boiling
different
structure
types of marbling, you could have high marbling, low marbling, You could have different types of connective tissue. And don't forget, animals have a finite amount of certain things on them. Like you can't cut up a whole cow into filet mignons. That doesn't work. There's different cuts of meat. But what if,
I only grow filet mignons.
What if every meat that you wanted was filet mignon and you didn't have to worry about the cost? What if you could buy a pack of ground filet mignon quality meat that was Wagyu style?
You could always have it and it would never run out. Maybe you have a subscription for it. Man, the future is going to be crazy.
Sorry, somebody needed my attention real fast. But my point is, growing in a lab where it's automated, we just have to pipe in water and some other stuff.
Chemicals?
That is such a loaded term.
You got to get atoms right?
A chemical is literally just a combination of atoms, right? That do something. It's like the advanced form of
material is a better way to put that.
Materials, right? Base components is what I would say. So some base components, some water, and some electricity, and out comes meat on the other side.
Still a trade, though.
I mean, not really. If you think about the price per watt of solar for the last 10 years, which has come down, 90% or something? Well, no, not 90%, but a significant amount has come down a significant amount. If you apply the same quality improvements and the same cost reduction to lab-grown meat, why would you even have cows after that?
Yeah.
Funsies? Or the same argument could be said for combustion engine cars, right?
Wait, hold on. Before we move on, after the cows, if we don't need cows anymore, we don't need pigs anymore, then we don't need farmers anymore.
Or chickens.
We don't need a lot of agriculture. We probably still need... No? Yeah, we need agriculture.
I think automation of lab-grown fruits and vegetables should be at some point. Now, fruits are a lot harder because of trees and stuff, but there's plenty of ground-based foods that you could do.
Why would they be harder?
That are fully density per square foot. So if you look at an apple tree, let's use apple as our example. You can't grow apple right out of the ground. And you're probably not going to grow it any other way. And we're probably not going to reproduce it like we do with meat, where we fake stimulate and grow it. It's way easier to just pull it off a tree. And honestly, trees, not a bad thing to have out there in the wild. I would rather turn 50% or 70% of all animal farm land to some kind of fruit tree harvest than anything. But when it comes to things like potatoes, even corn, wheat, carrots, celery, rice, a lot of this stuff could be grown in vertical gardens without too much effort. And it could be fully automated with AI. Now, this goes back to that argument I had with you, or discussion I had with you a while back. Automating the ability to generate high quality food of these various types, fruits and vegetables that we can automate into vertical farms with AI and supplementation of water and nutrient soil, that kind of stuff. And the ability to have that all automated, in my mind, is essential for the survival of the human race. And I'll get into that in a second. But again, I don't see our utopia without it, to be honest.
What, so you think we're headed for utopia in any future of this planet?
I don't.
Have you met the human race? They're pretty fucked up, man. They're pretty fucked up.
You say that, but I think there are plenty of circumstances where it is possible. Okay, so there was a really cool set of videos I saw.
If you sedate the public, maybe all of them.
No, not necessarily. Did you see the videos on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot where the girlfriends were getting into the cars and they were mad and the boyfriends and husbands had drinks and food ready? And then as soon as the girls got in, they would like put the donut or the cookie or sushi in their mouth. And they go, and then they get excited and they'd be okay from that point on. Mm-hmm. Humans are a lot like that. A lot of the reasons.
That's true.
A lot of the reasons.
Satisfy me now.
Well, think about this. Why are most people mad? In all fairness.
Because they didn't get what they wanted.
But why does that matter? Why? What does that trigger back to?
Myself.
Fear of survival. which is
Okay.
based on scarcity. At the
Scarcity,
end of
yes.
the day, I've argued this numerous times. The root of all evil is scarcity.
I agree.
So if you look at anything that goes on the planet, it ultimately comes down to scarcity. It's either scarcity
You don't
that
have
leads
something.
to ego, and then ego gets challenged, and then their place and their ability to survive based on their value to the tribe gets challenged. It, like, no matter how I chase this, I always get back to scarcity. Well, if you have um, a system with AI built that can produce reliable, clean energy on its own, it can replace solar panels and wind, and we can harvest waves and fusion and whatever else. I mean, I'm
Anything
going to
that's
use the
hot
fun
or that
word
moves, we can
plethora.
harness.
We're heading that way regardless. Like, it's going to happen. The demands of the public through the forcement of scarcity and fear will lead to that direction. We've already seen solar and other renewable energy forms dwarfing nuclear and coal and oil and gas and whatever else they want to come up with. Steam. Fucking Trump steam engines. Oh my god. That video clip just made me so fucking sad for him. Anyway, no one talk about that. But the cost, once the cost is cheaper, the renewables are going to win. And as we have more need for power, if it's cheaper to deploy renewable energies than it is to fire up a fucking coal plant, it's going to win, right? And if you think about what are we going to need long term, we're going to need reliable food in order to give ourselves safety. We're going to need reliable manufacturing. And at the end of the day, it is, in my mind, highly unreasonable to expect a world where people build things with their own hands. Like, if you want to do it for fun.
So have you seen that cartoon movie with everyone that's in the wheelchair because they're overweight? So they have a wheelchair that flies them around that does everything for them.
Yes. With the little robot droid that's cleaning up Earth.
Isn't Wally?
Wally. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that sounds like.
Well, not necessarily. So Wally is a dystopia, and I would happily discuss that another day. But at the end of the day, if I gave you the choice of saying you and your family will always have free healthcare, free food, whatever you need or want, housing, I don't know if I said medical care, and education, clothing, whatever you need, at no expense to you, do you give a shit beyond that other than to enjoy your life and have fun with your family and try to find creative things to do and entertain yourself in those and learn and grow? No.
Most people know, but there's those
Everybody's no.
psychopaths, all the weird, mental issues. There's a whole spectrum of
Yeah, but
people
those
that
are the
need to be
outliers.
tended to. People that need to be tended to. So that's going to create a conflict. And if you can't have a conflict in a utopia.
There's going to be outliers for any opportunity, but sociopathy.
So an authoritarian would murder that group.
I'm sure, and we're watching it happen right now.
This is exactly.
Donald Trump
I didn't want to
specifically targeting renewable energies so that his buddies in coal and oil that give him tons of money can continue to be prosperous. Like, it's happening in real time. But in my mind, that's just a last ditch effort because the wave is coming. If you look at the trends on automotives, they're moving, they're changing. People have been traumatized by continuing rising gas prices. How many gas shortages have you lived through in the last 5 years?
Yeah, and we're watching the rest of the world kind of adapt to electric cars and electric stuff. So I think there is a feeling in America, at least I kind of feel it, is like, how come we're not doing as good as them anymore? How come we're not the best anymore is how I feel.
Well, let's not get into the America versus the world. But the electric versus gas, so what's the main inhibitor for people buying an electric car right now? Range anxiety.
What?
Range anxiety is one of the biggest issues. How far your car goes before you can charge it.
Oh, correct.
Range, and if you get anxious about, oh my God, I'm at 20%, how am I going to get home? Well, you're used to, and what you're familiar with is gas station, refuel, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But an electric car, it's a little bit harder because we don't have the same comfort with knowing that there's going to be a charge. And honestly, there's a lot of fairness in that. There's a lot of places that don't have charging stations.
There is.
Yet.
Yeah.
But it's happening. They're building them everywhere. It's going to happen at some point. The other part of it too
But
is
still, that's another part of the equation because it's not just a pull over real quick and get my gas type of thing. It's I'm going to pull over. You might as well have some lunch and take a nap.
not necessarily in the future, in the immediate future. So right now, the electric battery that powers a car is going through several major changes. In fact, the technology behind it, the breakthroughs are happening so fast that companies are abdicating deploying every one of them because they know it'll be more cost effective just to wait a little bit longer and pick one of the better ones. That
I've
comes out
heard
in 6
that
months.
scenario in many business models lately. Like, yo,
And
we know it's kicking ass right now, but it's pointless. Like in 2 weeks, it'll be fucking this. You know?
yeah, there's a the exponential curve of technology. Have you seen that?
No.
So for those at home, if you think about how different well, let me talk about the battery thing real fast. So right now, our batteries are lithium based for the most part, right? And those lithium supplies are limited. We thought lithium supplies were very limited, and they're generally wet batteries. So they're like, remember how batteries died, like in cell phones a few years ago? They would you go from like 100% to 80% to 90, like it would go down.
Yeah.
What happened was the silicone was in a almost like a gel state, right? And as the liquid evaporates out of the battery, no matter how sealed it is, you're going to lose a little bit. What would happen is as that battery expands and contracts from every charging, it wears it out a little bit, right? And eventually what happens is a break forms in the battery from the expansion, right? And that break prevents the electrons from going across the surface, which prevents this part of the battery from being able to be charged. That's why they break down, right? Now, newer batteries don't do that. They had self-healing batteries for a little bit. Now they've created solid-state batteries that use a different chemical composition that don't have the same expansion and contraction. They don't tear apart the same way. They figured out how to re-engineer the material so the electrons. So if you think about the old batteries, like the kind you had in your cell phone 5 years ago, there was a cathode,
Yeah.
or there was
Anode and
plugs from the
cathode, right?
wires and that plugs into the material, and the electrons can just kind of disperse in it, like if you dropped an ink drop into a thing of water and then watch it try to disperse. Now, trying to do a lot of ink, it takes a while for it to really disperse in the battery, right? And when you get all the breaks and stuff, it changes. But now they've got new ways of doing it with, like, I've seen some batteries that have like graphene wires that run through it, and others that have channels in them so the electrons can kind of flow through it like your irrigation system in a yard. So the water goes through the main pipe and it disperses over the whole yard at once versus, just pouring water on the top of your yard waiting for it to get down to the bottom. So these different techniques will allow it to charge much faster, and the newer materials can accept the electrons faster than the older materials. So they've got new batteries that double, triple the range, decrease the weight by half, don't use any rare metals or materials, and can charge in minutes versus hours.
Watching 5 years from now, there'll be a battery that you can drive from the East Coast to the West Coast on.
I mean, it's just a matter of time. And
Yeah.
then the other thing of it too is, and this is what some people forget, the technology for turning that electricity back into mechanical work of driving your car forward will get better and better and better. Now, there is a limit. There's a cap on how much better it can get, but both sides are coming up in quality and engineering. So it's requiring less electricity to move you the same distance by a little bit, but we can take a whole lot more of them with us. So the ability to go there. Now, do you want a car that can drive you from one coast to another? Yes. Do you care if it does it on a single charge? Not really. If I can
Not
pull
until I see
over,
a commercial that says that.
well, if the car can drive itself, I'm still going to want to
Ad.
pull over to take a piss. Sorry.
Hmm.
Or to sleep or to eat, things like that, right?
No, I'm not.
So,
Autopilot's going to keep going.
no, like I'm not a prisoner. So you're going to want to stop and do this anyway. So if malls and food places start building these recharging stations and they can recharge your car while you're having a snack,
They're
I've
going to
already
have theme
seen.
parks. And all.
Why do you think Starbucks has so many Tesla charging stations? I'm seeing in front of McDonald's now. I don't understand why Chick-fil-A is not investing like crazy with this.
Oh, they're fucking up.
Chick-fil-A needs to get on this.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. But my original point came back to, what is the value of generating gasoline in 5-10 years if 90% of the cars are electric? And the 10% will probably pay $100 per gallon because it's an eccentricity or a hobby.
That's where it should be. That's where it should live. It should be a commodity, like a hard-to-get product dealt by specialty brokers, because every one of us is now regular in our electric cars, in our electric houses, in our solar-powered houses, and charging our batteries.
And that's where we're headed. So the fact that
the future is coming,
while our current administration is fighting it tooth and nail, removing incentives, tariff imports for different manufacturers, like they're doing everything they can to shut it down, shutting down projects for building the infrastructure for the charging stations. Like they're fighting tooth and nail to keep oil in business. But even with that, the cell of combustion is going down. The cell of electric is going up from a ratio perspective. And the rest of the world's going that way anyway. It's going to happen. And as these things continue to happen, the meat's going to change, the manufacturing food is going to change, the manufacturing clothes is going to change, the manufacturing of everything is going to change. And there's just a matter of what is going to change so substantially first that capitalism is no longer viable. And we're seeing it today. I told you the movie industry is what I think is going to get hit first. Now, AI is making movies right now. People are making clips in movies that are so indistinguishable from something that's real that it's confusing most people with the lack of technological background to see the differences, right? So the technologically challenged can't tell the difference.
Technologically challenged.
Many people that
all UTCs out there.
I've seen a lot of people look at a video of Trump in a uniform walking down the street and they think it's real, or him helping out in there was a video of him, and it wasn't even that good of a video quality wise, like rendering wise, of him helping save a person in Asheville when the hurricane hit, and people thought it was real. A lot of people will die on that hill thinking it's real. Now, between then and now, it's gotten a lot better. In fact, there are videos coming out now that they've kind of taken me back. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, go ahead and make a
There is a couple, man. They're coming. Like recently, it's been like, oh, dang. Man, that's close.
There was a thing recently about how the music industry is completely imploding right now because AI artists that are basically a couple of software developers and a manager are creating a virtual band or singer or something, and they're on the top of the different charts.
There's several of them.
And I told you, like, it's going to hit the movie. It's going to hit the entertainment industry first. Music seems to be coming up faster than I was anticipating. Movies are next. We're going to hit our 30% threshold quick.
Yeah, people are going to switch classes soon.
Oh, we're already getting people switching classes. We have the lowest amount of middle class that we've had in like 100 years or something. We have
poor people and rich people.
There's more rich people than there used to be, but the ratio is highly oriented towards them becoming poor than rich. And that's just going to continue. And we're going to have if the government doesn't get serious about like how are we going to handle the transition from where we're at now to a jobless society, which is AI's moving towards quickly. So there was an argument I was making with somebody recently about COVID deaths. And
you argue with a lot of people, man.
So do you believe that the COVID deaths number is inflated with people that didn't die from COVID and just happen to have COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that based on stuff I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage do you think that is? Just 15%. I think it could be anywhere from 15 to 30%. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. That is in my range as well.
Let's call 30% just to make the numbers
okay.
Side, right? So how many millions of Americans died and are currently reported to have died from COVID?
Over 1 million, wasn't it?
I want to look it up because I don't want to guess. Can I actually find a real number?
I got 1,228,000.
Yes. All right. So pull up a calculator. Let's do some fun. Let's do some math. I mean, calculating deaths is not fun, but the
A
math is
calculator?
interesting. So 1,219,487. Here, I'm just going to do it locally. All right, so
30% of that.
Where did my calculator go?
No one uses the calculator. That's why we couldn't find it.
Holy crap. For real?
I was going to open an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh my God. I'm going to pull up my phone because
See?
I know its calculator works. Laughs on you, high school math teacher.
Haha. You didn't have a cell phone in high school, did you? No.
No, they didn't exist.
I did.
Mine,
No, I had a pager.
In high school, I had a push button phone at my house. So 1,200,000, where was it?
1228289.
487. All right, so let's say 30% were false flags, right?
What was your number?
I'm just using false flags.
Okay.
So let's say 30%. So that means 70% were legitimate deaths, right? That is still 853,640 people that died from COVID directly. So let's think about back to the AI number. There's a theory 30% of the jobs prior to AI, if they disappear because AI replaces them, the economy implodes and we end up with a collapse of capitalism. How many people are in the music, movie, or TV industry? What percentage of our country's in that industry?
What percentage? Like 1? Yeah.
Percentage of Americans in the entertainment business.
Less than 1?
Well, according to this, 60% of our expenditure currently is entertainment. I can't find these numbers.
What was the question?
What percentage of Americans are in the entertainment industry? Music, movie, and TV, and singing, acting, all that kind of stuff. Anything where they pay to see you perform, an entertainment-based thing.
1.4, about, like, including, like, employed in the arts, entertainment, and recreation sector. 1.4. I was pretty close.
The American film and television industry supports 2.32 million jobs. How many Americans are there? 100 million? 340 million. So 2.32 divided by 340 times 100. So 0.5%.
Of what?
But what happens when all that goes away?
What were we talking about?
The entertainment industry. If it all gets eaten up by AI and no human is manufacturing entertainment content, then less than 1% of Americans lose their job.
Man, it's way more than that across every industry. Like, this is going to be a radical shift in the job market in general. It doesn't matter.
I mean, we've already had, since Trump took office,
data entry is going to go away.
A million jobs have disappeared in the first 10 months of his presidency, or 9 months. And if that trend continues, we're looking at 5 million Americans to somewhere between 5 and 10 if that trend continues. Now, that doesn't take into account the ramping up of AI over that time. Industry after industry is just going to fall, right?
Yeah.
So,
well,
30%.
No, the people in those industries are going to fall. The industries are going to get stronger, I bet, and they're going to have to support an unemployed workforce.
How?
Because the businesses aren't going to necessarily take a hit. They're going to do really, really well.
How?
Because they got rid of all their overhead, and now they can produce at exponential levels. Who's
going to have money to buy their products?
Huh?
Who's going to have money to buy?
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a radical shift, and it's going to put the companies in a situation where they have to take care of the poor people because now they have all the money. And those people still need those products. So they're still going to have to give them some spending money to buy the product. It's going to be a weird economy.
Mm-hmm. And that's the shift that we've been talking about. If you look at, there's a show called The Expanse. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's on Amazon Prime. Really good show. In there, the people of Earth, 50% unemployment.
50% of Earth?
Universal basic income, if I remember correctly. They're just dying out there. So,
where?
On the United States, or on Earth in that show.
Oh, on the show. Okay. Got you.
So that's an example of the continued failure of humanity if we don't figure out how to handle this. Now, the
We're not
guy
going to
that's
figure
in
it out.
charge of OpenAI, what was his name? I'm blanking on
No
it all of a
idea.
sudden. He said recently, and I'm going to butcher this quote, if AI can replace a job, it's not a real job. But if you go back and look at it, I was only talking about the entertainment industry. Medical industry is next.
Well,
After
I
that,
bet the entertainment, it's going to be like the Matrix. Like the machines are going to go one way and we're going to go one way and we'll have to entertain each other. Maybe they won't go away completely. We'll
you're
lose
assuming
everything.
it wants anything. Let's
And then,
assume no AGI. Let's assume no general intelligence. That it doesn't become sentient. Let's assume it doesn't do that for 50 years, right? It's just capable of slowly getting better at creating the things we ask it to. Let's just assume that, right?
wonderful.
Okay. Well, at some point, it's going to slowly eat away at jobs. And then as it gets better at things, it's going to start eating away at jobs faster and faster and faster.
Hmm.
So there's an inflection point in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So what happens when 30% of the populace can no longer work?
We are going to find out.
Have you heard of the term eater?
Eater, yeah.
So for those who don't know, eater is a derogatory term the rich have coined for the people that live on
Oh, no, I
government
have not heard that
assistance.
term.
It's a term that they've called breeders, the other one I've heard recently too. It's a derogatory term for those that aren't producing
For the
rest of
haves
society.
to talk about the have-nots.
Yeah. So if you think about a person, let's go with a musician, right? They're a 50-year-old musician, just to give it a number, right? If the music industry basically casts them out and they're done, let's say AI takes over the whole music industry in the next 2 years. All the top charting artists, all of the music on streaming services and over the radio is AI generated, because that's where we're headed. We're quickly approaching that point. There's not going to be any stars in the entertainment industry, but there's also going to be a request for people playing, because they'll just have AI do it, right? Because everybody will have access to it. And let's look at the TV
Yeah, but
music
there would be
industry.
a large group of people that would still just want to be entertained by people. They would be standing up against the AI. Like, no.
In bars,
Yeah.
in videos, it'll be niche, right?
Niche, yeah.
Like,
That's where I'll live,
equate it
baby.
to the same people who like to crochet and knit. Those are great examples of jobs that used to be super important to our society that are now just hobbies. Singing will end up in that same bucket for the same part.
Mm-hmm.
Do people buy home crocheted items? Sure, it's very bespoke. There are plenty of people out there who do it. I have friends that do that. I don't know if they make a living on it.
But it would not be
It's
smart to
enjoyable.
start a company that sells those accessories for that thing, for knitting
Sure.
accessories.
Well, I mean, there are companies.
Even if I'm passionate.
One of their many products. But if there's people that do it as a hobby, manufacturing an item that they buy as a hobby is very different than manufacturing industrial grade equipment for it.
Right.
And the industrial grade equipment becomes automated and AI'd. You can supply that, but then the AI starts manufacturing that, and you lose all your workers for that. Like, it's the. Have you ever seen the picture of the snake that eats its own tail?
Mm-hmm.
That's our society right now. As AI gets better and better, it's eating it's the
More
tail
and
of
more.
society.
Yeah, it's going to eventually
So
be.
it's at 0.001%, but it's got a hold of that tail, and over time, it's just going to continue to eat and eat more of it. At some point, that is not going to get backed off. We're not going to shut it down. We're not going to turn it off and get humans back to doing it. It will be cost prohibitive. But at some point, the ability to sell things is going to go away. Look at Ferrari right now. Because of the changes in the economy globally, right now, Ferrari is having trouble selling their cars. Tough for them. But that's a great example of, okay, tough titties for them. What happens when Ferrari goes away? What happens when Lamborghini goes away? What happens when Aston Martin goes away? What happens when Bugatti
Walmart.
goes away?
No, Walmart.
What happens when all these cars go away? What happens when drivable cars that you own go away? It's a cascade effect. It's eventually going to fall back to the other side. So you have to think about that. Now you're like, well, who cares if Bugatti goes away? But they employ a lot of people. They extract a heavy price for a very custom piece of machinery that is a staple. It's an icon. It's legend. Blah blah blah. that employs a lot of people. It employs distributors and manufacturers and buys materials. If that one thing dries up, not that big a deal. What happens when all supercars dry up and all hypercars dry up? Now we're having a significant shift in the industry. Now what happens to the rest of the cars? They're going to change in a very dramatic way too.
Yeah.
And we're already starting to see some of those changes right now. BMW and Mercedes have been notorious for this lately. And I think Volkswagen and another car manufacturer got busted with this too. Subscription features. The latest one I heard was enhanced acceleration was an additional subscription. It was either BMW or Mercedes got busted for heated seats required a subscription. Things like that. And they're trying to turn the car into a thing you buy and then have to pay for continually. And eventually it'll probably just be paid for continually anyway. Subscription-based automotives. But, I mean, do you really care if you can just rent one temporarily at a reasonable price and they're all the same and it just gets you where you need to go? And you don't have to drive it. You just, you call it, put your stuff in it and go? Well, not really.
I like it.
But what happens to all the diversity, all the engineers, all the manufacturers, all of the people that are employed across that spectrum? They're gone. And that's my point. Every industry that you can name, I will tell you about the end of its job based on the technology that's coming out or is already out. Even your job right now, changing out roofs, is fractured. In theory, you could have AI, robotics on a crane, go up there and take out the old roof. It uses AI to figure out what to do, fixes it, puts it back together, puts the new pieces on, crane gets loaded on the back of a truck and runs off. It is
possible. We're a few years out.
You said a few years out. You didn't say impossible.
No, I get it.
Distinction is tremendous.
No, I get it.
Every job that a human can do is replaceable with technology. Now, I may not have said that prior until I heard about
that sounded like Tony Stark's dad in Iron Man. Everything in your dreams could be achieved with technology.
Yeah, and that's kind of becoming true. But it was the
end of your nightmares.
Well, there is that. Like, what does it mean to be a human when you don't have to work to survive? And that's the hard part. I was talking to some people about that at gym the other day. I was like, I guarantee you there's an end of capitalism coming. I don't know if it's going to be immediate or in my lifetime, but it's either going to end with society ending or it's going to end because technology gets too good. One or the other is going to happen.
Predictions from Jtrain.
It's going to happen. I guarantee it. But anyway, they're like, well, no, I have to work for a living. It's like, why? Well, I worked all my life. So what? That's like telling a person that just got out of college that they have to go to college for us because that's what they've always done.
Yeah.
No, they don't. That's not what happens in our society. You go get a job with your career.
That's really just a habit. That's just a habit that you learn from your parents and in society.
Again, it still goes back to the point that it's all changing and the printing press analogy doesn't play out here. So the printing press analogy, I think I've talked about it. I'm going to reiterate it.
Because it doesn't make... Wait, you're going to reiterate because it doesn't make sense?
It doesn't reiterate, but I'm going to discuss it again so that people are familiar with it before I just own it from the conversation. So a lot of people are comparing AI to the invention of the printing press. Before the printing press, paper was harder to get. It was in low supply. It was very bespoke, really. Books were handwritten or they were done with hand-created tiles or... the different ways they made it was very hard to reproduce, time-consuming, costly, and it had a price of books going up. And then somebody created a printing press. They figured out how to make something that you could just dip in ink, stamp, ink, stamp, ink, stamp. Well, the people that had the jobs to make the books the way they made it went away. The people were needed, though, for new jobs. You needed new people to man the mills, standardization of paper, the ability to make the books with the resins and the glues and the bindings and the covers and all that kind of stuff. Ink needed to be made in larger volumes. The machines needed to be made on larger volumes. But also, a big part came about in the ability to distribute books. Now, I love the analogy that, I forget who it was, discussed how the printing press led to World War I. Like it is the inflection point in human development that led to World War One. But anyway, so that created new jobs, right? We are not that same society. We have distribution chains, we have manufacturing chains, material acquisition, and so on. The ability for AI to come in and take over different already established roles is real, between robotics or just some kind of semi-robotic AI-driven machine or some kind of humanoid robot that runs in and does something, right? So as the robot comes in and takes that job, if we use the printing press analogy, it's like, oh, well, humans just have to reskill and go to this other point. There's two issues with that. One, it takes time to reskill a human. Now, let's talk about prompt engineers real fast. When AI first got started, creating a prompt to get you the thing you needed was a lot more challenging than it is today. Evolution of technology, right? And all of a sudden, prompt engineer was the new hot job. It lasted like a few months.
Yeah.
And then prompts got better. And now today, you can actually have AI create you the prompt that you turn around and ask AI again to get better. It's hilarious.
No, AI is so crazy.
That, its ability to tokenize and understand human language is so much better today than it was 6 months ago that almost anybody can go in and use it to do some stuff. Even my daughter can go in and make it do all sorts of cool things. Now, is it good quality stuff? Not necessarily, but the fact that anybody can access it is was it a million monkeys for a million years can create Shakespeare analogy? Like, you bang it enough, it's eventually going to put out Mozart. And what do we get? We are getting chart-busting, AI-based generated songs and with AI-based artists. It happened. So the idea that, oh, it will never is unrealistic. And the idea that it's going to create a job that won't be taken by it is also inferior and debunked. Okay, so you create more widgets, you got to distribute the widgets, you got to sell the widgets. Well, no, AI can go and start doing those things at some point too. It's just a matter of time and effort, right? You're like, oh, well, AI can make new shingles. That's fine. I still need a human to put it up there. It's like, no, like they'll make robots at some point to go change out roofs. It'll just go down the line. It'll be cost effective. It'll get it done in a good clip and speed. It may cost you a little bit more or less. Who knows?
It'll probably just be a totally different way to install roofs. It'll probably be a machine on an end of a crane that just kind of sweeps them off and lifts it off, puts it in a big container, drops the new one on.
Or it'll have a rake and it'll take off the rake and then it'll have like a rollout of the shingles. It'll just roll the shingles out across it, cut it, staple it on, do the next row, staple it on, do the next row, staple. Like, who knows, man? Yeah. The fact that you and I can discuss 3 different options in under a minute proves that not only is it going to happen or can happen, it's going to happen. And it's just a matter of time before roofers are out of business themselves.
And I'll be an owner. I'll own one of those machines.
I mean, Amazon's not going to let you.
Well, we're going to have to figure out a strategy to take Amazon down, if you know what I'm saying.
I think I think we need to start looking at this argument differently. You're talking about taking down Amazon. Like, no, fuck that. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with AI taking all the jobs. I don't want to work. I want to create. I want to do the things that interest me and create the things I'm interested in. If AI helps me do that faster and easier, cool. There's like 5 projects I was talking with my wife the other day that I'd love to do. I don't have time and I don't have the energy and I don't have the skill set for some of them. But if AI makes that, like I can do a couple of these in maybe a week.
Like the Matrix, just plug it into your head and upload the skill.
Or just talk to the AI chatbot that looks at you like your assistant. And yes, sir. Oh, that sounds great. What if you thought about this? How about this? Here's a rendering of what that would look like. Would you like to change these things? And it just walks.
I can't wait until it's like I talk to mine, but then I have to stop it and then hit play. And it doesn't talk back to me. And I can't wait until it can communicate in real time in a real conversation. Like, hey, what do you think about this? No. And how about this? You know, like.
Yeah, that's the next step.
I'll be excited. I'll be really excited for that.
It's going to happen, and it's going to happen quickly. I expect that anytime now, to be honest.
Well, I'm excited about AI. What about you guys at home? How's AI treating you? Are you guys all using it? Your kids? How about your grandparents and your parents?
Oh, man, everybody's telling me that we should be supplementing my daughter's teaching in school with her going to AI and asking how the stuff is done and letting it teach her at home.
Fine with it. Just get the knowledge in there.
How is this a failure? And I think this is the big thing. It's like we need to establish a society quickly before it gets a runaway on us. Before it runs away on us. Before we're trying to fix the problem. Why don't we fix the problem before it happens so we don't have the suffering? Figure out how to make it so that people can lose their jobs and not have to stress about it and can start enjoying the benefits of AI taking over those jobs. And as it cascades through the rest of the economy, we get to a place where people are okay with it.
And we have to come up with a plan to deal with all
Because they're
of
not
it.
dealing with the fear of scarcity and survival. AI generated food banks, AI generated clothing banks, AI generated houses, AI generated medical care. All these things on the horizon. A lot of this stuff is happening right now. Just at some point, what's going to happen is the government's going to have to what do you call it? When the government takes it over?
Government takeover.
No. There's nationalize it. That's the word I was looking for.
Oh.
The government's eventually going to have to nationalize food, nationalize medical care, and nationalize homes, and naturalize all this kind of stuff until we don't care anymore because there is no money to worry about not having. And before anybody asks the question, what happens when we run out of room? Well, hopefully AI's already solved their problem by then, and we're on Mars and other planets and other solar systems, exploring, expanding with AI.
That's what I think is actually going to be the thing that makes us leave. AI is going to take over everything, and we're going to be like, all right, we have to go. The sun's not going to blow us up before AI takes over. Well, eventually, we're going to become useless.
Now, resources are also not limited to Earth. Asteroids and whatnot are passing our planet all the time. And I don't know if you heard, there was a recent breakthrough in warp technology.
Oh, I did hear. I get every warp technology monthly.
The breakthrough was that originally it was thought that you needed negative matter or antimatter to be able to power it. But they figured out that's not the case, and the power requirements are not as significant as they thought. The possibility of generating and building and deploying a warp drive is now on the horizon.
I didn't get past the antimatter.
Well, we can create antimatter according to what I was reading. But
can we? We as in you and me?
No, not you and I.
Let's talk about the
really smart engineers.
Let's talk about this thing that isn't a thing. That's the opposite of matter.
Yeah, anti-fascism.
Does it have mass?
That's a different thing.
Does it have mass? Antimatter?
It has negative mass.
What does that mean? You don't know what that means.
I'm not that guy.
Negative mass.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's what
we're going to do a deep dive on negative mass this next episode because I've never heard of that shit.
Oh my God. You're going to teach me that one. But anyway, the possibilities are endless. We just need to decide, are we going to let our humanity die because they become useless? Or are we going to embrace a society that doesn't have to have work in order to survive? And we let the people who want to, or who are encouraged to or driven to, be the people that help build out that society. And the rest of the people have some time to do other things. Like, if you don't have to worry about food, clothing, medical care, or sustainability, man, I may want to take off a while and do some art or do some reading or do something fun, go travel. But then I'll probably want to go do something like major breakthroughs or try to build something. Like, people are driven to that. And the idea that everybody, if given a chance, would be too lazy to do anything to benefit society is stupid, unrealistic, and misogynistic. So,
and we'll be just like Wall-E, getting our fat asses flown around in our personal spacecraft.
Wall-E is fun. Go look up the dark conspiracy for Wall-E. So the dark conspiracy goes, and I believe it might be true, the company that built the spaceships that everybody went out on was about to go out of business. And they realized if they destroyed the Earth, it would force humanity to give them money so they could build the spaceships and become the most powerful business in the universe. So they purposely destroyed Earth by making sure the garbage did what it did in order to win and not go under.
That makes sense.
So they caused what Wall-E did. And the reason they are all in that state, fat, overweight, and dumb, and placated, it's because that's what the company turned them into. Because otherwise, what would you do? You go to another planet, start over, and you wouldn't need the ships anymore. So it was self-perpetuation of the company at the detriment of the humanity. And if you look at a lot of major companies like Shell and Exxon, it's literally the same thing. It's a perfect mirror of our corrupt government and our corrupt capitalism.
All right. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, an hour is a long time. Let's call it.
Hit subscribe. Peace.